Yo, Exile, Augiesaint here, and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I want to share with you guys my ranger build that I have been blasting away with recently. We just hit level 90 now after we actually did the leveling build, which I shared with you guys a few days ago, and you guys really liked the video. This is the follow-up to that. So I kind of took that build and then I tweaked it into what is currently known as the Fob Guns build, I think is what everybody's calling it. Well, Fob Guns, I think, is the original person who figured this build out or start using this build. So massive shout out to him. This build is absolutely goated and cracked, and I can't stop playing it. It's super speed. You can clear stuff really fast. Really good map. I want to say it's one of the fastest, if not the fastest mapper in the game, because of how like the shadows work and the Herald of Ice and everything just explodes on screen. And then if you do a minor little tweak on bosses where you hot swap out your ring to one unique ring, I believe it's called the Thief's Torment, where you can get mana on hit, it becomes one of the best bosses in the game, where you can actually, with like high-end gear and even mid-end gear like I have, you can pretty much just global bosses on all map bosses are no issues without the ring. I use my setup on T15, 16 maps all day long, and the bosses just melt away. But where mana would be an issue is when you get to an uber boss or something, you want to switch out your ring there, or you can even just change around your passives. But I'll show you guys all of that stuff in the video, so you can change around your stuff depending on your budget and everything. I'm going to share with you guys as well, since I can show you that my build is not, I mean, my gear is decent, but it's definitely not as decent as it could be. So I'm missing quite a bit of damage and stuff, and I'm still able to just fly through T15 maps all day long. No problems whatsoever. The only map that possesses a problem to us is with the elemental build-up stuff, where like the enemy resists 90% more elemental build-up, or elemental ailment, I believe it's called, is because then you can't freeze them, or you can freeze them, but it takes very long. And yeah, it's just, it makes the maps miserable. So that's like the only modifier you should look out for, is the elemental ailment resistance. Don't have maps with that on. Every other map doesn't matter, you can just blast through it. The bosses also, none of that matters. Do a quick little change on the boss where you change like your cast on freeze to cast on shock, and the bosses just go boom. Really fun build. So without further ado, let's just hop straight into it. Now, I will have the mobalytics link up in the description for you guys. This is mainly just showing you the skill gems, so like what you should prioritize, everything like that. This is done from priority, so left to right is the most important, depending on how many links you have. If you have 3 links, obviously you want to focus on these 3, but if you have 4 links, you add that, and then your 5th link. And the only thing that really needs a 5th link, I would say, is lightning arrow. Not even lightning rod, doesn't really feel like it needs much, because this I'm only ever casting on bosses or when I get to like elite packs. For the most part, we can usually just get away with lightning arrow if there's a bunch of like smaller mobs around. If you can go ahead and freeze them so they shatter, they actually just pretty much just one pop the elites with everything anyway. And then the rest of the gems are there as well to follow. Cast on shock, cast on freeze, everything is, yeah, both of your heralds. So as you can see, we don't really need much of like gemming. Like the only 5th link is there, well, 6th link, sorry. I like to call this a 5 link because to me the 5 different ones link to the main skill. But I have learned from the PoE lingo and everybody, this is actually referred to as a 6th link, and this is a 5 link, so I need to get that in my brain. But to me, 5 links because, you know, the 5 supports. But anyway, that's another rant for another day. So this is all the gems and stuff. We got a little bit of writing down. I'm going to update this as well and give you guys some notes. There's a note about the Thief's Torment and the mental toughness. If you don't have Thief's Torment to actually change around your tree for bossing, mainly for mapping, you don't need to change that at all. For like map bosses, it doesn't matter at all. The only reason you want to change this is if you want to go do like some uber bosses or maybe the trial boss or something like that. You might want to change that because you are going to run out of MP. This is the skill tree that you can reference as well. And then I'll be updating everything as well going further, maybe add a bunch of other stuff. And then the gear as well. I played around with the gear setup. Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but I will get to it and set everything up nice and beautiful for you guys. So the links there, I will update that going ahead. But for now, I'm just going to cover everything in game with you guys to show you exactly what I'm using and how I'm going about doing it. So first of all, let's have a look at my skill setup. I have my cast on freeze and my cast on shock at the top of here because I like to switch between them depending on what I'm doing. So usually the only time you'd switch off cast on freeze and onto cast on shock is when you get to like a boss at the end of a map or something. There's no need to switch for elite packs. This is purely just for a map boss. When you get to the end of the boss or the end of the map and you get to the big map boss maps, you want to put your cast on shock on with your ball lightning. This is going to absolutely just melt away the boss, no problems at all. And then when you are mobbing, so you're cleaning out the map, you're going to have your cast on freeze on with cast on freeze, and then voltaic mark. This is just applying a mark when you freeze them, and then voltaic mark is just giving the electric explosion alongside with the Herald of Ice with more ice shatters and explosion and everything. And then we have innovate on here as well for more lightning damage. If you manage to kill something with lightning damage, you will get a little boost to damage. That's actually a really nice boost, and you can tell when you have this by a little white little ball floating around your character. Now, people are using life tap on this, but I have honestly found that using life tap just saps away my life, and I don't really like how that feels. So I'm currently experimenting with what else I want to have on this to support it. But if you want to, you could try out the life tap if you're having mana problems. I don't have any mana issues at all while I'm mapping. Only time I'm having a little bit of mana issues is on the Uber bosses. Even the map bosses, they just disintegrate as well. So the only thing I struggled with was Uber bosses with MP. So life tap, if you want to try it out, go ahead and try it out. I don't recommend it, especially on like lower gear levels like we are right now. I'd say we're about mid gear level. We don't have like super really good gear, but we don't have like basic gear. So we're pretty like mid level end game, I would say, is our gear at the moment. And then moving on to cast on shock. Obviously, also make sure that you do have the intellect for these. That's why you can see these are only level 11, because you do need to have 95 intellect of these. If you have more intellect, you can go ahead and level them up, but I don't think you really need to. Not the cast on shock and the cast on freeze. Maybe the ball lightning and the herald you could level up a little bit higher if you wanted to. But again, the ball lightning as well, I have it at level 13, and this is 119 intellect. I think you can get this at level 11 as well, bringing it down to like 95 intellect. So overall, you're going to need 95 intellect. As you can see, we have 120, and our dex is a little bit low because we've had to sacrifice and do some gear changes now with the resistance changes. So we're fixing up our gear and stuff, but essentially you're going to have like 250 plus dex and then at least the 95 intellect. So you can actually go ahead and have all this stuff. And if you do find intellect on your gear, or if you do find dex on your gear, you can see we've got a little bit of dex on some of our gear pieces. Dex is equivalent to intellect, and intellect is equivalent to dex, basically, because in the tree, all you do is you change around your nodes. As you can see, I have a lot of dex on my gear. Well, I found a few dex pieces, and then all of this I've just changed over to intellect. And then if you do have intellect on your gear, you can just change these all over back to dexterity. So depending on what you need, just go ahead and, customize it as you progress and as you get different gear. And then we're coming down to the bread and butter of the build, the lightning arrow. Now this is the big boy. You should focus on getting this as your 5 lane first. This is pretty much going to be all of your map clear. And then lightning rod is going to be for like elites and bosses. So let's have a look at lightning arrow. I leveled this up. Also, don't level this up too soon if you can't manage the MP, because this does cost 48 mana at level 19. I want to level this even higher when I can get another level 20 gem maybe, or if I can boost it with lightning mastery. But for now, I also do need to get projectile plus 2 projectile skills on my bow. I haven't got that yet, so this is losing quite a bit of DPS. I mean, 17,000 just standing in town here is pretty good. It goes up to about 25k or so when I'm actually in the map with all the buffs. As you can see, our tailwind already gives us quite a few buffs, and then we get some other buffs and stuff in the map. So usually around like 20-25k in mapping, so really fast and easy to get that working. Now for the gems, this is from the order priority left to right, martial tempo. This is very important to get the attack speed, so you can shoot this really fast. And getting attack speed on your, I think your quiver as well, maybe your bow. I don't know if you can get on the bow, but I definitely know on the quiver is really nice, especially with a node we get later on that like doubles or gives you, I think it's about 90% increase of what your quiver does. So really strong there. Get a lot of attack speed. Martial tempo, running Ice Bite over there for the attacks to get cold damage. Now this is what we use to actually freeze targets. If you're having problems freezing targets, make sure you have glaciation in here as well. So as you can see, we have cold infusion and we have Ice Bite. So those are there to help you get the cold damage. If you're struggling to do cold damage, maybe replace the Ice Bite with glaciation early on. If you don't manage to actually freeze targets, if you don't have enough cold on your gear, you definitely want to make sure you are freezing targets so you can shatter them and get your clear with Herald of Ice, because Herald of Ice is all of your clear. So if you're having trouble freezing them, swap out glaciation with, I believe, Ice Bite would probably be the best one, because this one is if you kill a shattered enemy, if you can't freeze it, it means you can't kill them. So this one will pretty much be dead to you. So yeah, switch that out and then make martial tempo. You always want to get that one no matter what. Ice Bite, you can switch in for glaciation if you're having issues, and then cold infusion, just some more cold damage as well. Primal armament, this is more elemental damage. And then recently we have picked up inspiration just to help with the MP, because we can pretty much just spam this now without any MP problems at all. Although I am running clarity as well on my wind dancer, which I don't think a lot of people are running, but I had the free spirit, so I might as well throw it on for a little bit of increased mana regen. So this one might be pretty important. Depending on how your mana feels, go about changing that in or out if you feel like you need it or not. And then moving on to lightning rod. Now this is going to just plop down on elites, or you're also going to use this for bossing. For bossing, it's very simple. You do this, put your orb of storms up, and you just keep shooting your lightning arrow into it, because that's going to like shock the boss. And then when it shocks, it's going to proc your cast on shock, and the boss will just evaporate. So let's have a look at our gems for lightning rod. Scatter shot, you always want to get that one. It's going to do a little bit less damage, but it will fire 2 extra projectiles. As you can see, it fires 4 because of how we have like projectiles on our gear increased, as well as in our talent tree, which we'll get to later. Then we have concentrated effects, so these support skills deal more area of effect damage, but they have less area of effect, so they're kind of like closer together. Now this one you could actually remove and put another support gem on there if you're having issues with like clearing out the map, or if you're like very low gear levels, because then it's going to spread it out a little bit, so you've got like a bigger clear instead of putting it all on one little area. But I do find this is still pretty strong, even if you are early. I've been using this pretty much since I switched over to this build. I think I switched over like level 75 or somewhere around there, like pretty much as I got to mapping. 65, 70, somewhere around there. We switched pretty early and it's been zooming ever since. So that's what we use on that. Then we have Heft over there, just some more increased physical damage. Rising Tempest over there. This is also a very powerful support gem because it says that supported skills deal 12% more elemental damage for each skill used recently for a different element type. But it seems to be working on the same element as well, because we can use this and we can go Lightning Arrow, we can go back to that, Lightning Arrow. And then we do have Ice Shot in there because I was messing around with it as well. So you can just mix in all kinds of elements, but it doesn't seem like you need to switch elements. It just seems like you can use any other thing. I think they may have patched this soon, or they're going to patch this soon. So yeah, watch out for that one if they do patch it. Although you still do get the two different elements anyway. So it's like a 24% different boost because of Herald of Ice and Thunder. So you got Thunder and Ice, you're rotating between the two. So that's why you'll still be getting a little boost no matter what. And then moving on, Herald of Ice, this is our map clear. Without this, our clear is pretty bad. So let's have a look at it. First up, we have Long Shot, because, I mean, this is going to kill stuff off map sometimes. You'll like freeze a little enemy, it's going to chain reaction the whole map. Kind of like Exploding Palm from Diablo 3, if you guys remember that, one of my favorite monk builds. Put Exploding Palm on, you kill the one on the white mob, and it just wipes out the whole pack, because it just chain reaction kills everything. That's pretty much what Herald of Ice does. We got Magnified Effect, support skills have 40% more arrow effect. Even bigger AoEs. You have Elemental Focus for more elemental damage, and these skills cannot inflict elemental ailments. Doesn't matter because we're not using Herald of Ice to freeze. We're actually freezing with our Lightning Arrow, and then that's going to get popped with Herald of Ice, the Shatter. And then we have Cold Mastery just to boost it up a little bit higher, so we have this at level 19. I want to try and get all these things higher later on when I can get like a better weapons and stuff. And then moving on, we have Wind Dance. This is just really good for evasion. It's going to give you quite a bit of evasion per stack. And then Blind is the only thing you should run with this, or the only thing you need to run. So Wind Dance and Blind. But I do have a weird amulet with quite a bit of extra spirit that I don't know what to do with. So I'm using Clarity and I'm using Precision. Although both of these are very much not needed. I just have the free spirit, so I thought I might as well go ahead and use them. A little bit of mana regen and accuracy, although you really don't need any of this. Like I said, you don't worry about this. The only thing you really want on Wind Dancer is the Blind. And then moving down to Orb of Storms, this again is mainly just used to proc our Lightning Rod. So the damage of this is really, I mean, it says 56. It's basically not doing any damage, but it does interact with your Lightning Rods, where it'll keep proccing them over and over and over, as you can see there. And then it's just going to melt away the bosses because the Lightning Rod is going to be doing all of the damage. So it's just an easy way to actually proc this. And when you are leveling up earlier on Ranger, make sure you pick this up right away. It's such a wombo combo for when you're leveling. I believe Orb of Storms you have to pick up from the Sork tree. We'll just cut a gem and then, you know, you can pick it up in your gem anywhere. And then the support gems we're using on their Chain, Persistence, and Unleash just to increase the chains as well as the duration that it stays up. Also, make sure you don't level this up too high because, as again, you can see this is level 11. I believe that's the lowest level it can be. And it requires you to have 95 intellect. So definitely watch out for that. You do want to get that 95 intellect. Make sure you have that. Don't level this up too high because you don't need it higher. It's only being used to proc your Lightning Rods, as I said before. Then moving on to our Herald of Thunder. This is again just helping with the clear overall. We've got Lightning Infusion. All right, well, we just sold a pair of boots there for some exalts, so really nice. Let's go back to what we're talking about. Herald of Thunder just adding to the clear overall. Support attacks gain extra damage as lightning. We have support skills, 100% more chance to shock, because the shock is going to be really good to have. And then Lightning Master again, just boosting it up there. And then lastly, I have been messing around with Ice Shots because they recently buffed this in the update. I believe yesterday or the day before there was the update. And I've been messing around with it. It might actually be good for you if you're just starting out with like super early gear, because it does help you freeze really, really fast. So you might have to play around with Ice Shot and Lightning Arrow, and then you'll have to change around your support gems. I'm not sure what we'd use, probably about the same things, because most of this is just boosting attack speed and cold damage anyway. So you could go ahead and try that out. I'm not sure how much converts. Oh, it actually converts 70% of physical to cold, so that might actually be worth looking into. Whereas Lightning Arrow, I believe, was only 40%. So you could just fully stack physical and try out Ice Shot. Though I think Lightning Arrow is going to win out for me anyway. I tried with the support gems, and Ice Shot wasn't feeling as strong as Lightning Arrow. But like I said, maybe earlier when you're struggling to get the freeze and stuff, try out Ice Shot instead. So just replace your Lightning Arrow with Ice Shot. Although I have not tested that enough, I've just been messing around with it today, so we'll definitely have to get back to that, and I will update it in the Mobilitics guide for you guys to let you know. So that is our gem setup. Now let's have a look at our gear setup. You want to try and get as much damage as you can on your bow and your quiver, especially the bow. You want to try and get as much physical and cold if you can, although it's pretty expensive to get cold on there. And then also projectiles, so like bonus level to projectile skills, I believe is really, really strong. I just haven't managed to get one, because they are extremely expensive. But you see this one, we have super high physical there. An easy way to see if you're going to get more damage is by just equipping the bow. You can see we're at 17 with this one. We're only at close to 10,000. So the bow difference over there we don't have the massive increased physical, we don't have the cold, the physical is also pretty low, so missing quite a bit of there. So this is like something I'm going to go for. Just try and get as much physical as you can early on, and then if you can get some cold on it, that would be really nice, because you want to try and get enough cold so you are making sure that you are hitting, you know, the freezes, so you can freeze and shatter everything. So I actually had quite a bit of cold on my other gear, which I'm going to now start changing over, since we do have the cold of year on our bow now. I think the cold on the bow and the cold on the quiver should be enough, although my cold roll and this quiver is really bad. I just picked this one up while I was mapping, and it turned out to be better than the one I had. So I need to really go get myself a better quiver. What you would be looking for in this is going to be the arrow speed, increased attack speed, projectile speed, and then the cold physical, as well as one thing I'm missing on here is increased damage with bow skills. So that's like another 50% I could get. And then because of our passive tree, we could pretty much double that, so we could get up to 100% increased damage with bow skills. So that is definitely a quiver I want to go look for. I believe this one has it. Oh yeah, this is my old one. You would think this one is better, but if I look at my tooltips over there, you can see it goes down by like 1,000. I think maybe not. I have to go try it out. But this one did feel nicer because of the attack speed. So if I could take this attack speed and put it onto this bow, like change out the crit there and the accuracy, I would be really happy with that. As well as these gain mana per enemy kill, you want to make sure you have at least one of these rolls on something. I believe you can get on gloves, weapons, and maybe rings as well. I'm not sure. I think on rings it's only just the leech thing over there, but make sure you have one gain mana on kill somewhere, otherwise you are going to have issues with the build. But with the gain mana per enemy kill, it's only 22 mana per enemy killed. But when you go ahead and like freeze, shatter, explode a whole map, it's just going to instantly fill up your MP bar, so you'll never run out of MP if you are getting something like that. So for the quiver, you want to prioritize the physical, the cold, the attack speed, the projectile speed, and then also make sure you do get one with damage to bows. But again, you can see I'm using one there, and we're flying through T15 maps quite easily because of just how strong this build is. And then the rest of the gear is really just capping out resistances. Also try to get as much evasion as you can. Make sure you're looking at the evasion rating on the gear. As you can see, the evasion over there is 300 over there. And on the chest piece, you want to try and get at least 1,000 evasion. This chest piece is pretty bad. I actually found one in a map that had like 1,500 evasion, but unfortunately I just didn't have any better rolls, and I tried to like slam it and I just didn't get anything out of it. But yeah, for your chest, try and get 50 spirit, try and get max life, and then cap out the evasions, as well as your resistances are quite a bit easier to cap now because of the changes. I think we all got like 20% flat res added, so I'm actually over res cap. Although it's not bad to be a little bit over res cap, because when you get into some maps, there's like a negative modifier that can remove up to I think 15 to 30% of your resistance. So it's not bad to overcap a little bit. Although I do need to kind of change my fire and my cold. I kind of need to channel these two into my chaos, and then it'll be perfect. So if you're a little bit overcapped, don't worry about it, but rather be overcapped than undercapped. So I definitely need to go and change my chaos around there. So that is mainly what you need for your chest. And then in your chest, make sure you are using these evasion runes as well, because you want to make sure you're at 1,000 evasion or more in your chest piece, as high as you can get, because you want a ton of evasion. I think you see we're at 58% evasion. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, although the catch is we are running acrobatics. So that's, you know, nerfing our evasion by a ton, but we can actually now evade everything. So that means elemental damage, explosions, anything can be evaded. So that's why you definitely want to make sure you are getting up to at least 1,000 evasion on your chest. And then everywhere else, you want to get as high as you can. On my boots, I also have 360. On my gloves, 200. Now these I need to upgrade. I definitely need to upgrade my gloves and my chest pretty soon. I actually kind of need to just go through all of my gear and update it. But yeah, you want to look for maximum life, your raises, cap out your raises, get high evasion, and then on your chest, if you can, get spirit. You want to try and aim for 150 spirit. That's like the sweet spot where you can get everything working at the same time. I have explained that in the mobilitics over there. But the main thing is you want to get to 150 for mapping, because then you can run cast on freeze as well as both of the heralds and wind dancer. If you don't have 150, if you only have the 100 from the story, that's still fine. You run both heralds and you run wind dancer, but then you don't run cast on freeze because you just won't have the spirit. But if you do have 150 spirit, you'll exactly perfectly cap out with cast on freeze, and this will just make your clear quite a bit faster because of the voltaic mark being applied when you freeze stuff and then the herald device popping it. So you can play with 100 spirit. Don't worry, you don't need spirit gear right away. That's why I have like a weird piece over there with spirit as well. But I need to go ahead and change that all out. So yeah, 150 spirit is the goal. So try and get 50 on your chest. It might be a little bit expensive, but at least if you have 50 on your chest, you don't need to worry about it on your amulet. So you can get a better amulet. My amulet's pretty mid. Although I did use it as like a stat stick. I just needed to achieve the breakpoint for my stats as well as the spirit. And the maximum life on that is pretty nice. Although I would try and look for a better one. I think maybe we can get some damage on the amulet. And then the cheap anoint you can go for is high alert. It's going to give you a bunch of dexterity, so not too bad. I think I picked this one up for about 50 or 60 exalts. It might be a little bit more expensive now. But yeah, overall, this was probably not the greatest purchase, but it's not terrible because it did help me progress into T15 maps by getting my caps all sorted out, as well as giving the spirit so I could get a better clear because I didn't have this chest at the time. I think I missed just a little bit of spirit to get that all working together. And then for your rings, you just want to get maximum life. Cold damage if you can. You don't need cold damage on them, I don't think. I could actually try and drop these both and see if I'm still freezing with just my weapons. But like I said before, I didn't actually have cold on my weapon or my quiver. And as you can see, the cold rolls are pretty low. So that's why I had this ring with cold, just to help me, get to that cold so I can build up the freeze. If you are struggling, try and pick yourself up some rings or bows or quiver, whichever you can get the cold for cheap. I believe at the time, the rings were the cheaper option because now everybody's using this build, or a lot of people are switching to this build, and the cold bows are just going skyrocketing in price. So like I said, just figure out what is the cheapest within your budget. Make sure you focus on the highest physical damage bow before the cold, and then try and pick up cold somewhere else where it may be a little bit cheaper. Cap out your razors, get maximum life. Gloves, same thing. Cap out razors, get your maximum life. We do have cold there as well, so we just pretty much have cold everywhere. Belt, again, max life, max mana. Razors, and then boots. Most importantly, make sure you do have the movement speed. It feels so bad when you don't have movement speed. I would say go for nothing less than 20% movement speed. Even 30 for me. I believe it can go up to 35%. So, but these boots are not too bad overall because we have massive evasion on them. High life roll, we got double res as well, and we also do have the increased movement speed. So these boots were not bad. I think I picked these up for like 10x or something like that, so not bad. Also make sure you are capping the correct resistances, like put in the gems depending on what resistances you're missing, the runes I mean, sorry. So yeah, just cap out your runes, and then on your weapon you want to put in physical damage runes, so 40% increased physical damage. So that's it for the gearing, flasks, and charm. I actually need to go look at mine. I haven't changed these since like I was playing the story, so I definitely need to go look for a better charm and better flasks as well. I think the instant use flask might be a little bit better, the heal one, because the only time you're gonna really need to like heal is when you get hit randomly by something and it just chunks you for like a big chunk of HP. That's why you want to be able to spam your pot and just like fully heal up really quickly. And then any mana recovery, see we have more mana recoveries used while on low mana, so that's really good when we get to like a boss, because the only time I do run out of MP. When I get to a boss, make sure you are using it when you run out. So like you're pretty close to running out because of your ball lightning, everything going like crazy. And you go ahead and pop that, and it's just going to regen even more because you're going to get 80% more recovery if you are on low mana. Now let's have a look at the talent tree. Now this is pretty basic bow stuff. You just want to pick up mostly all the bow damage you can and skip out on the evasion stuff early. So when you initially start out and you're leveling on a path this way, completely ignore this channel over here because this is just evasion stuff for later. You don't need this early on, so you want to come all the way down. And then this as well, don't pick this node up until later either because you won't have like a really good quiver. So early on, what I would recommend is to get down to this one right away, pierce the heart. So I would come straight down, grab pierce the heart, because this is going to give you a massive boost there with an additional arrow pierce. If you don't have pierce the heart when you are leveling up, you might want to run pierce on your lightning arrow just to help you with clear and everything and just damage overall. But yeah, getting the pierce over there is huge, or you could even go for it on your quiver. So if you manage to get pierce on the quiver, then you can actually drop this in your tree. But just make sure you are getting pierce either in the tree or getting it on your quiver or with a skill gem. And then this one over here, feathered fletching, is also really good. Increases and reductions to projectile speed, also applies to damage with bows. That's why that is very strong over there. And then priority wise, I think I would path upwards. So you come back. So initially you come straight down this tree, you grab your pierce over there, and then you come back and you grab these maiming strike for increased attack damage. This is a nice little damage boost. And you come back to this side. You want to come up and then path to the gem socket, and you come up and then path to the left of here for increased attack speed per 15 dexterity. This is really strong, so it's going to be stacking dexterity anyway. So Falcon technique, really good. And then I would come over to the right and grab up proficiency there with all these dexterity nodes around here. Then I'll actually come down the bottom initially when you're starting out with gearing, because the bottom here, bestial skin. This is why you want to make sure you get at least 1000 evasion on your chest, because you get a 100% increased evasion rating from equipped body armor. So this one's very strong early. So come down, pick this up, completely ignore this for now, because this is going to give you more dexterity as well as evasion rating, but don't worry about that now. I would say first focus on coming down here. And then you want to gear up acrobatics. You don't pick this up until much later as well. I think around level 80, 85 is when I actually picked up acrobatics, when I had enough. I'd say the like good soft spot for this is when you pick up acrobatics, make sure you are at least 50 to 55% evasion with acrobatics on. So it'd have to be at like 80 to 90% evasion without acrobatics before you actually go ahead and use this. Easy way to test is just, allocate it in a tree and then come out and see how much evasion you have. See, we're at 58 evasion with it on, and obviously we do have tailwind as well, so I believe we get up to like 66. with our maxed out tailwind. So yeah, make sure you are at least 60 with tailwinds. Obviously, I believe like 50, 52 without tailwind to actually make sure that that is, you know, getting you the most benefit that you can. That's just going to make it so you can evade all hits, which is like everything. Magic attacks, anything can be evaded at that point. It is 60% chance to not get hit. Think of it that way, like by anything. So really strong. And then you want to come down and grab these Herald buffs. So yeah, these are very strong as well, giving you more increased damage, cold, lightning, fire, everything with your Herald. So really, really good. Really, really strong over there. Not bad to get. And then I would say go back up to the top and grab Kite Runner over there for movement speed, projectile speed. Damage is just damage. You're going to come back down here and then grab all of these elemental boosts over here just to help you chill stuff and lightning and cold pin and everything over there. Really nice. So now you've picked up most of this side of the tree and then you can work your way down here. Eventually you want to land up on Lightning Rod for the lightning damage with non-critical hits is lucky, just to increase like the range of your lightning to be on the higher end. And as well, these are all just extra gem slots that I haven't picked up yet. I believe there's one down here. There's one over there that we're going to pick up later. And I just recently picked up another gem socket over there. So those you can kind of skip early on if you don't have any good gems. Or some of them you will pick up in the pathing. As you can see, there's one over there. There's one over there. There's one over there as well. You might as well pick that one up when you come down this tree for increased elemental damage. And that 5% of physical damage from hits taken as damage of a random element is really nice, because then you just put physical into your resistances and you can't really resist physical, although you can evade, I believe, with acrobatics on it. So that is really strong. It doesn't seem like it, but 5% of all physical damage going into your resistances, and if you are raise capped, is going to be pretty huge for survivability. So that's how I would go about the tree. And then the last thing that I picked up was these nodes over here for increased evasion, movement speed. And then now recently I've gone and picked this up as well. And then later on I'm going to go down and grab that gem socket over there. So that's like a couple of levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels away. And we're already level 90, so we won't really have many points after that. I was thinking of coming into this tree over here, the attack damage increase as well as against unique monsters and stuff. So you can like kill uniques a lot faster, even though we pretty much kill them one shot anyway. So that is what I was thinking of doing with the points, although I will keep you guys updated on where we actually go with those. And then for your ascendancy, the very first thing you want to grab is Gathering Winds to get the Tailwind. Tailwind is just too good to not have. And then after you grab Tailwind, I would say go up and grab Point Blank. Now Point Blank and the other one I believe is called Far Shot are very close depending on how you play. You play far or near, but most of the time it's going to be pretty close between Far Shot or Point Blank, so pick up whichever one you feel you need. I personally just play with Point Blank because you are pretty much running at enemies all the time, as well as when you are bossing, you're going to stand really close to the boss, so you will be getting the Point Blank benefit. And then you want to grab Projectile Speed and Endless Munitions. This one over there is actually pretty used for clearing, so if you can live without Gathering Winds early on, like while you're leveling, then you could pick up this one for a little bit more damage. Although I would say really get Tailwind as soon as you can, because this is just amazing. To not have this is pretty bad because it gives you movement speed, attack speed, as well as evasion. So all of that is just insane to have. And then lastly, for your last ascendancy, I would go ahead and grab Windward. This is going to give you a little bit of damage reduction. I believe it actually equals out to like 30% less damage when you have your Tailwind stacked up. So that's pretty huge. And then skill speed as well there, just to make everything a little bit more fluid overall. So a quick little recap, since we did rant on there for ages. Come all the way, this is like progression wise what you should pick up first. Come all the way down, pick up the Pierce initially, make sure you grab that ASAP. And you want to come back up this way, go this way, grab the attack speed boost there, the Falcon. You'll come down here and grab Bestial Skin for the increased evasion, 100% on your body armor. Come down and grab Coming Calamity, and you want to go all the way up and grab Kite Runner, and then Unbound Force, and then you can working your way. And then you can start working your way down and maybe come pick up the acceleration over there. And at this point, you might have a good quiver, so pick up Master Fletching. Whenever you do start getting like decent quivers, like level 70 plus, go ahead and pick up Master Fletching and all the points there to increase your equipped quivers stats and everything. And over there, Escape Velocity, these I would pick up Blast. This I would also pick up Blast. Then come focus on these before you go pick up anything up there. So you're only going to get Force of Nature, as well as Lightning Rod and Flash Storm before you go up there and pick up any of those. Maybe Strike, as well as Cats, meow. Yes, that one, get that one. A lot of damage reduction and increased elemental damage. That is going to be everything I can think of, guys. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, as well as join the Discord. The guild has pretty much filled up since our last video, so thank you guys all for joining all the bunch of upcoming ranges. We will be getting more guild spots pretty soon. If you want to join the guild, make sure you join the Discord. We do have like a guild chat there for now while we don't have extra guild slots, but as soon as we do, I will start inviting you guys again. So thank you so much for all the support on the videos. I'll catch you guys out there blasting away. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying.